Hi, Mike here. You're watching Scout Restoration Yukon. In this video, I will test and install the new fuel level senders for my 1966 Scout 800. Then I will install the new rubber filler necks, flanges, and caps. Finally, I will install the sheet metal covers for the fuel tank compartments. I hope you like it. Let's get to work. If you want to help, please subscribe to Scout Restoration Yukon. It's free. Mike Morrow, over and out.
Hi, Mike here. You may have previously watched my videos, fuel tanks and fuel tank installation. If you did, you will remember we didn't have the new fuel level sensors or the filler necks. So now I've got the parts. Let's get to work. This is one of the new fuel level sensors for the Scout. The way this works is the float lever moves from full to empty. And there's a contact on the float lever. You can see this contact here. And it moves along a variable resistance strip, right? Which sends a message to the gauge in the truck. So let's just take a look. Let's put an ohmmeter on here and take a look at the resistance and watch it vary. So if I connect my ohmmeter to the ground and to the positive terminal, just trying to hold all of this in one hand, right? Now, you can see the resistance. 75 ohms. Empty. Moving this way, we're going down to 9.7 ohms. Full. So this sensor works. Before installing any electrical component, I always test it. This is one of the old filler necks. As you can see, it's trashed. The flange is broken, and the vent hose, or overflow hose, if you wish, is broken. There's a new filler tube. Just beautiful. For around $100. The senders came with 2 new cork gaskets. I also purchased 2 new fuel caps. These are the flanges that secure the filler tubes, and it's the receiver for the cap. Still haven't painted these. I just primed these with etching primer. The first thing I will do is remove the 6 flathead screws that hold the fuel level sensor in the passenger side fuel tank. It's a 10-gallon fuel tank. You may want to mark the orientation of the sensor before removing it. I'm not going to bother because I know how it goes. So there's our sensor. Coming nicely out. I'll just remove the old gasket. Because fuel tank senders are notorious for leaking, I've applied a thin coating of Permatex Aviation Pharma gasket number 80017, which is fuel compatible. I also applied it to the underside of the sensor where I've stuck the gasket on. I will now insert the float in through the hole, push the sensor through the hole, and that's approximately what we want. I just want to start one screw using a awl to line up the holes, starting a second screw. There, got 2 screws started. I'm now applying a little bit of former gasket to the screws to seal the screws so the fuel can't leak out through the screws. And I'll just remove this one so I can put some sealer on it. Prefer to spend the extra time doing this now instead of having a problem later on with a leaky fuel sender. Unfortunately, my hands get sticky and my screwdriver gets sticky when I do things this way. This aviation former gasket is non-hardening, so there's not a problem if we have to remove the sender for any reason later on. Now that I washed my hands, I finished tightening these screws. What I like about these aftermarket senders is they have a ground wire. Instead of relying on just grounding to the tank, through the body, through the frame, all the way to the battery, I'll be able to, when I do the wiring, I'll be able to run a hot wire to here and this ground wire to a known ground if I need to. Just tighten these. It's a cork gasket, so I'm kind of tightening just with my fingers, so I can't really do them up very tight if I only use my fingers on the screwdriver, because I don't want to over tighten these screws. So I decided to connect the ground wire for the fuel sender unit here because it'll be out of the way and there's already a hole there. So I just have to remove the paint so I can get some bare metal, and then I'm going to bolt this on there with a 1/4-inch bolt. So let's get to work. So there's some nice shiny bare metal there. I'm just taking a 1/4-inch bolt with the flat washer through the loop, through the hole, so, and then a lock washer and a nut on the other side. So, tighten that up. Should have a very effective ground. So I'll just tape these wires together a little bit. So now you can see the tank. The yellow wire goes to the gauge, and the black wire goes to ground. The next thing to do is install the rubber filler tube, which goes from here to here. So this will be secured with worm-type hose clamp, which I will not fully tighten at this point because I'm still working on the alignment of the flange with the holes in the fender. So that's just snug. At first, I was going to paint the filler neck flanges body color. Then I realized that removing and replacing the fuel caps would damage the paint. So I decided to paint them black with POR 15, which is extremely hard paint. Initially, I had problems getting the rubber filler neck flange flush against the body panel. So I used 2.5-inch long screws to gradually pull it into place as I pushed the filler neck onto the fuel tank nipple. This worked out very well. Then I tightened the clamp on the tank and replaced the long screws with the original screws. Here you can see me removing and replacing the filler cap, and it's not damaging the paint on the flange at all. I will now install a cover on the fuel tank. It's pretty tricky to get it in here. I'll just put one bolt in the bottom corner. There, pry it past there. It's not the easiest thing in the world to install.
In conclusion, once again, I'm doing a Concours restoration. The fuel tanks are relined. The fuel level senders and filler necks are new. I'm happy. In my next video, I will inspect and service the vacuum wiper motors. I hope you like it. If you want to help, please subscribe to Scout Restoration Yukon. It's free. Mike Morrow, over and out.